Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. Tutorial number 16, frozen shoulder. Supposing if somebody presents to my clinic with a frozen shoulder, what's my starting point? Well, obviously I examine the frozen shoulder. I examine the patient in full just to see what their range of movement happens to be. Is there a difference between the right side and the left side, for example? But perhaps even more important than that, I try to determine, is there a reason for the frozen shoulder? It's probably very straightforward what the reason was. Perhaps the person sprained that shoulder, and they will tell you that, and you have to accept that at face value. That is simply an external presentation, an external disease. It is a chi and blood stagnation on a channel, probably the gallbladder channel, maybe the Sanjar channel, a couple of other channels as well, but you will determine that by a close examination. But at least you know that there's some proportionality in what happened. But if the person tells you, yes, it's a frozen shoulder, but they don't quite know how they got the frozen shoulder, and for that matter they had a frozen shoulder the other side as well, and now that we're talking about it, their hips are out of place, their lower back is sore, their ankle, their knees, whatever else, clearly there's something else going on there. Muscles are failing below their design limits, and I've given a tutorial on that already, and that's an example of liver blood deficiency. Liver blood being the lubricant of ligaments, sinews and tendons, and if liver blood is deficient, then muscles will fail below their design limits, and you look for other evidence of that, and the evidence might very well be cramps in the major muscles, back of the legs for example, or cramps in the smaller muscles, for example around the eye, where a person might get mannerisms or tics, particularly if they're under stress. And these are good examples of muscles failing below their design limits due to a lack of liver lubrication, liver blood lubrication. So you must free liver blood with liverate bilaterally. And why is liver blood deficient? Probably because the liver is invading the liver with liver chi stagnation. And I've spoken about that before on a previous tutorial. But if somebody comes to you with a straightforward frozen shoulder, let's call it that, where there's proportionality, and that's probably the most important word for me anyway with frozen shoulders, is there proportionality? Can it be explained? Then it's not an interior condition, it becomes an exterior condition. Obviously liver blood deficiency due to liver invading the liver, causing a lack of lubrication of the ligaments, sinews and tendons, is very much an interior condition, and it must be treated from an interior point of view. And any treatment of the actual muscles from an exterior point of view won't really derive any great benefit beyond a day or two of benefit compared to releasing liver blood to lubricate the muscles, because it's an interior condition. But here we're talking about a more straightforward exterior condition, maybe after a vigorous game of tennis or whatever, or dragging a suitcase around Terminal 1 in the airport or whatever. All of this might possibly cause muscles to fail proportionately, not muscles to fail with a lack of proportionality. The classic frozen shoulder, that is an exterior condition. The muscles fail because of proportionality. You've asked them to do more than they are designed to do, and if muscles are asked to do more than they're designed to do, yes, they will fail at their design limit as opposed to below their design limit. So we're talking about an exterior condition. So therefore you need locally. I find gallbladder number 21, the high point of the shoulder, that's a very important point to needle. It's a point that can be dangerous as well. You have to lift up. I always tug and lift up the trapezius muscle, and I lean over the patient so that I insert it directly in a vertical insertion directly down, so that I can estimate where the tip of the needle is ending up, because it mustn't end up in the lung obviously, and it mustn't drop down below your thumb and your index finger. That's squeezing that muscle and raising it up from a safety point of view. And safety at gallbladder number 21 is extremely important. If you're going to get a pneumothorax, it may well be on stomach 21, so you need to be very careful about this. Another point adjacent to stomach 21, which I'm inclined to avoid, is large intestine 16. Large intestine 16 is at the angle where the clavicle and the spinal scapula come together. It's a dip, and you will be amazed when a person breathes in how high the lung raises. It probably raises up to within half a sung, and in thin and frail people probably within 1/16 of an inch of the actual exterior. So the lung rises up there to extremely high. So a needle in there may very well cause a pneumothorax. You need to be very careful about that. I'm inclined to needle front and needle behind, needle anterior and needle posterior, and apply electro to pull the muscles forward, push the muscles back. So for example, I'm a great fan of Sanja number 15, which is also off the superior medial border of the scapula. I love doing small intestine number 9, 10, 11, number 12. Number 12 is midpoint of the spine of the scapula, above the spine of the scapula, because when you needle in, you can needle deeply because you will hit bone. You're needling onto the scapula itself. And that's a very good feel to sort of tap the scapula because you know the safety of that particular point. Very, very safe point. I'm inclined to needle spleen, small intestine 9 and or 10. And I needle them a little bit laterally as well. And there, of course, the posterior region there between the axillary fold and the AC joint on the back. And on the anterior, there's an extra shoulder point, what I call it, between the axillary fold and the AC joint to the front. And these are points that are very, very good from an electroacupuncture point of view. I try to make the muscles rediscover their original normality. That's the way I phrase it. But before I do that, I apply Moxa. Remember? Frozen. It's a frozen shoulder. That gives the game away completely. It's frozen for a very simple reason. Chi isn't flowing in the channels and Chi that's not flowing. The flowing of Chi provides heat, so it's a frozen shoulder. So on the 8 principles, it is an exterior condition, it is a cold condition, and so because it's cold you apply Moxa. Then I apply the electro, and then I apply cups, and the whole scheme of things is purely to make the muscles rediscover their original normality. And as soon as I do that, I get the person to do all the exercises as possible. I often say to them that I have the easy job, I just put in the needles and do a few other things, whereas they have the rest of the day in which are going to have to vigorously use those muscles, so that those muscles not only have discovered their original normality, they will keep within their original normality, doing what the muscles are designed to do. And treating a frozen shoulder can be a very, very good thing to do. It can be a very happy thing to do, for the very simple reason you very often get a very, very good result. But if the person comes back again and says, well, you know, it was a good result for a day or two, but I'm back to square one, either they haven't really been doing their exercises, or else you've missed the point. And of course the point is it an interior condition such as liver blood deficiency causing lack of lubrication of the muscles, or is it an exterior condition, which is the way you treated it, of course, by treating it from a channel problem point of view. You can of course drag down on the channels, nothing wrong with that, that's a good idea, but very often if you needle locally, that in itself is very often sufficient. So I'm inclined to needle locally, identify the channels, but no matter what channel is involved, there's only, I mean, there are 6 channels in that region. What channels are involved, I always do gallbladder number 21, because I think all the stresses, from a Western point of view anyway, are focused through the trapezius muscle. So gallbladder 21 is by far the best point on the trapezius muscle to actually get. So that's probably a point, being very aware of safety issues. So shoulders, you have to be very aware of safety issues. You have to be very aware of, is there a proportionality here, meaning an exterior condition, or is there no proportionality, muscles just failing, then it's an interior condition. So a frozen shoulder may seem a simple thing to do. In fact, it can be quite a complex thing to do. But once you know what you're doing, once you've decided, once you've done your groundwork and asked the correct questions, you will be in no doubt as to what the situation is. And it's a very, very satisfying condition to treat. Thank you.